So what were people around you saying, and what do you say back to them, and what do you say to people now?
Well, I've found that whenever people see me for the first time in a while, these last couple of years, they typically want to know how I did it. Everybody wants to know the secret until I tell them. And then at that point, who knows how they'll respond. Everybody has a different response. Some people will be like, oh, wow, that's great. Or oh, yeah, I'd heard something about that, but I wasn't sure. And then others will be like, oh, yeah, I'd wondered about that. But I have a fear of missing out, the FOMO factor, fear of missing out. I would miss my pasta. I love pasta. I love bread. And I'm like, well, I love those things too, but they don't love me. And I have experimented since what happens if I do try a couple of things, and every time I do, the weight comes straight back. So it's a really dead set thing for me. There was no willpower required at all once I'd convinced myself that it was going to work. Once I'd realised that this was something that was going to work, I didn't need willpower.
Because were you dealing with hunger? Did your perception of hunger change?
All the time.
Your relationship with
all
hunger?
the time. Before I'd started low carb, I had a massive hunger issue. And it was something that I struggled to grapple with for so long. People say, oh, just eat less. But I just get hungry. Oh, we'll just go hungry. Well, that's no way to live.
Yeah.
If a normal-sized person is hungry, they want to eat. Why? If I get hungry, I want to eat. It's not fair, But yeah, the hunger was such a big thing, and it was one of the little rules that I'd actually set for myself when I started. Okay, if I'm going to do this, yes, I'm going to look for low-carb foods, but I'm also going to eat as much of them as I want. I don't ever want to go hungry. And I was so sure that when I set that rule up for myself that I was guaranteed to set myself up for failure. Because nobody can eat.
You were trying to fail.
Almost, in a sense, because I wanted to prove this guy wrong, So, all right, let's do this low-carb thing, but I'm going to eat as much of it as I like because I hate being hungry, because I'd always been hungry. So let's go for it full throttle, but at the same time, I'm going to never go hungry. So I would still have 2 steaks a night or 3 chicken breasts or whatever crazy size meal until I was full. But it would have been about maybe 3 or 4 months into it, about February, March, I suppose, 2016. I was having lunch at a cafeteria one day, and it's a buffet place. It's all you can eat, which is perfect for someone who never wants to go hungry. So I'm having my lunch there, and I have my one plate, and I go to get up for seconds, and I'm like, hang on, I don't know that I need another plate. What's going on here? The hunger seemed to be resolving itself of its own accord, and I had no idea that would ever happen. The idea that I could actually eat less and lose weight, but that's what everybody had always been saying. But what they are sort of expressing it to me is they said it in such a way that I needed to eat less up front, and that I had to go hungry. But it wasn't so much about eating less, it was about changing what I was eating to such an extent that the appetite was somehow, magically at this point, I still didn't understand it at that time, it was able to resolve itself of its own accord. It was very gradual, but it did happen.